all of the pros and all of the cons of using, again, electric vehicles versus standard fossil fuel vehicles. Using these lithium-ion batteries has much less of an impact on the environment during the use. You're basically taking all these dead lithium-ion batteries and you're putting them into a landfill. They're going to decompose. You're going to have, different substances leaking into the soil, which could have impacts on the actual land. This is Richard McKighton, and I'm talking about certain issues related to lithium-ion batteries. And one of the things I found kind of interesting is the cost-benefit analysis for use of these lithium-ion batteries. The general idea has been with electric vehicles that the use of the electric vehicle using these lithium-ion batteries has much less of an impact on the environment during the use. Fewer greenhouse gas emissions actually is, generally speaking, a good thing, and using an electric vehicle is going to release fewer of those gases than fossil fuel vehicles on the back end. I get that part of it. But one of the things that's kind of interesting is that the actual creation of these lithium-ion batteries may actually have a more significant toll on the environment than any benefit you're getting off of the actual use of the EV vehicles down the road. And what I'm talking about is the actual materials that go into a lithium-ion battery. Look, I'm not a scientist, I'm not pretending to be. I'm trying to give you the layman's version of this stuff. But basically, the mining of the materials needed for lithium-ion batteries and the processing of those materials, and then the eventual disposal of the lithium-ion batteries after they're no longer useful, may actually have a greater toll on the environment than what we think fossil fuel vehicles are actually doing. So there's a real debate on whether long-term it's going to be worth it to go through what we're going through. And you can really get into the weeds on this stuff. I mean, the actual different mining techniques for mining lithium and things like cobalt, and then actually processing these materials. They say, and I'm quoting a Wall Street Journal article, that the greenhouse emissions, that the impact on the environment from creating a lithium-ion battery is 3 times greater than the environmental impact of a traditional standard battery that we have in fossil fuel vehicles. So again, it's an interesting debate. It's probably something that will be more refined as we go on, but it is worth diving into, because if you look at this just on the surface, few people actually get into the idea of how difficult the mining and processing of the lithium-ion batteries can be. They just focus on the back end use of the batteries when you're using it, let's say an electric vehicle, electric car. The actual use of that battery is better on the environment, but again, the creation of the batteries on the front end may actually be a whole lot worse. And then there's the whole idea of once these lithium-ion batteries die or damaged or no longer holding a charge, that eventually happens with all of them. You've got to dispose of them. Well, what are you doing with them? You're basically taking all these dead lithium-ion batteries and you're putting them into a landfill. You're burying them underground. And as those things age and they're sitting underground, they're going to decompose. You're going to have, different substances leaking into the soil, which could have impacts on the actual land, on the environment as a whole, water supplies, things like that. I'm not pretending to know the answers here, and I'm not necessarily pro or anti on this kind of stuff. I find the whole topic kind of interesting, and I hope we actually talk about all of the pros and all of the cons of using, again, electric vehicles versus standard fossil fuel vehicles. It really is a good debate to have, and it's something that we should have from start to finish. Don't just focus on one part of the argument to benefit yourself, which is basically what we do in this country now. But if you look at it holistically, it is a good debate. And I'm not really sure we know the answer yet, but it is something worth looking at, talking about, and debating. I hope we do more of that. I'm going to try to do more of that. Anyway, Richard McKighton talking about lithium-ion batteries, some of the pros and cons to it. Thanks.